Minister of Lands and Natural Resources John Peter Amewu has revealed his ministry in the coming days will introduce sustained combat and militant supervision in the various mining communities as part of moves to end illegal mining in the country. The ministry, he says, has also reviewed and giving a fresh 30-day ultimatum for Galamseyers to move their excavators from the various mining communities or risk punitive action. Latif Idris has been touring the western region with the anti-Galamsey task force headed by the minister as part of efforts to end the illicit trade, and filed the following report.
The journey took the task force to Dominase, Jurata Kunta and Hiawa, all in the western region, and the first port of call was to a mining site in Dominase in the Nzima East district.
When we start the reclamation process, as I already noted, there is going to be a sustained combat and militant, supervision process in place, which is going to last a minimum of 1 year. And so we don't expect that. A good question somebody asks is, in attempt to reclaim, people will come back and do the digging. Because there's going to be supervision, the police, the military, the law enforcement agencies will be around. We expect to maintain, what we are witnessing now. So it is important that the reclamation, as you rightly put it, will start as early as possible. That is number one. Number two, it's to begin to look for the alternative livelihood for these people. Of course, these are the guys that will be brought into the MMIP.
At Hiase, the task force arrested this sole miner who was busily mining for gold despite the ban. The Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, John Peter Amewu, ordered the task force to seize the pumping machine he was using at the site.
The nonsense you are doing around here, you are killing people. And that is what we are against. We will allow you to mine, but we will teach you how to do it in a very nice way. But this very one, we will not allow you. You have to pack. Were you told that you need to pack and leave the site? We have traveled over almost the whole of this region. Most of your friends have left. You are still working. Why?
The miner explained why he defied the order to end mining and begged the minister to return his pumping machine. I am doing this because of hunger. Of course, I've heard about the ban, but I lost count of the dates. That's why I'm here today. But I can assure you that I'm packing my tools and I'm leaving site immediately. Second port of call was Prestia, where the two deputy ministers paid a courtesy call on the divisional chief of the area. The two deputy ministers were met with a protest by the youth of the area, who are predominantly into Galamsey.
From Volta region on Abo.
Chamfine operators are mostly from the Volta region, and the authorities are also part. We do not want those machines here. We want the authorities to allow us to continue our activities, especially those of us who do not destroy the water bodies. We made the police arrest those using the Chamfine machine to destroy the water bodies. They are the main culprits, and we think government should rather direct its energy by arresting those who engage in Chamfine operations.
The hashtag which is running, of course, is no to Galamsey, and I am for it. So the hashtag is no to Galamsey. From Prestia, which is the hub of mining in the country, this has been Latif Idris reporting for Joy News.
A team of investigators led by the Director General of Operations COP Christine Tete Yohonu is set to have visited murder scenes at Nkonya Ahinkro and Nkonya Tai in the Volta region, where two people were recently killed in fresh attacks in a long-standing dispute between the people of Nkonya and their Alabanyo neighbors. A statement from the Ghana Police Service says the team, led by the Director General of Operations COP Christine Tete Yohonu, was at the scene on Monday on a fact-finding mission accompanied by the crime scene management team from the CID headquarters in Accra. Alabanyo and Nkonya have been under a dusk to dawn curfew over a protracted land dispute which has led to violent conflicts in the past. Coming a week after the incident, there have been concerns the police would not get much as the crime scene would have been contaminated. But COP Yohunu told Jifabampo earlier on Newsnight the crime scenes were found intact when the team visited on Monday.
Volta region, they don't have a more detailed crime scene management team. So they depended on the national headquarters, and then we sent a team there. But initially, the police were having challenges of trying to go straight into the crime scene. The crime scene, was very thick in the forest, and it looks like it was more or less like difficult for people to go there because it is alleged people are there shooting. They have to depend on more reinforcement from Accra, and then we managed to go into the forest, which was about 8 kilometers walk into the forest, and then we managed to get to the crime scene. Evidence was also intact.
Some may wonder whether the crime scene may not have been contaminated over the 1 week period.
Nobody was even able to go there after the incident occurred. So all the necessary things we need to collect at the crime scene, we managed to get them.
A group of nurses picketing at the Ministry of Health have vowed to spend another night there if the ministry fails to post them. Members of the coalition of unemployed bonded diplomat nurses say they have remained jobless since they completed their mandatory national service in August last year because they are yet to be absorbed into the sector. The aggrieved health workers passed the night at the ministry in a bid to pile pressure on authorities to heed their demands. Joy News' Matilda Omega has more.
In their desperation, the jobless nurses slept at the forecourt of the Health Ministry on Monday. And as late as 8 a.m. on Tuesday, there were some still soundly asleep in vehicles parked on the premises as well as forecourt of the ministry. They tell Joy News they are part of a batch of 937 trainees who completed in 2015 and have successfully undergone their mandatory one-year service, which also ended in August 2016. There are about 100 of them who converged the ministry from all over the country say they are frustrated with the way and manner their issues have been handled.
We completed government training institutions. We are bonded nurses. This is a copy of our bond form. We have in it the various stages, every sheet after sheet, where we do declaration, where our parents also sign to the bond. And this bond form, in case you complete school, and you don't serve for 5 years, it means you can't serve in any private sector or you can't travel outside the country and go and find any job there. If you do that, the ministry will take a penalty from your parents.
It's very disheartening. So we are waiting until we get our clearance.
We are in the 9th month, and even if they are starting any process from now, we are hoping that from now to the time we get to 1 year or whatever, we know that the financial clearance can be even issued within 1 week. And so we are here to plead with them that at least they should give us a financial clearance so that we start working.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia recently indicated government has provided financial clearance for some 11,000 nurses to get jobs. He announced it as part of 103 achievements in the first 100 days of the Akufo-Addo-led government.
In the area of health, we've had a lot of trainees, nursing trainees who have been sitting at home. Within these last 100 days, approval has been given to employ 11,000 health trainees who graduated between 2012 and 2016.
The claim is, however, being contested by the picketing nurses who say they should have been included in the recruits.
The category of batches that he gave was people who completed school from 2012 to 2016. If he is talking about the time that we completed our service, then it was in August 2016. And if he is talking of the time that we completed school, then it was in February 2015. So it means the category of nurses that he gave, we fall within. So we don't know why we are still home. We are evidence-based, and we are here. We are evidence-based, we are here. The media, everybody is here. You see us, we are here. We are agitating for our postings and our clearance. We are not leaving these premises. We stayed here overnight.
We have our PIN. We have everything that shows we are nurses. So what are you telling us? You said you've granted clearance for 11,000 nurses. We fall within. So why are you preventing us from working? Or why don't you want us to work? We are suffering. Our parents don't have money, but they've been able to pay our school fees. Up to now, they are still feeding us. They are fed up. The frustration alone in the house is too much for us.
The agitated nurses say they intend to move their picketing to the Flagstaff House on Wednesday morning if the ministry continues to ignore them. Matilda Pomaga for Joy News, Accra.
Let's now go over live to the Ministry of Health to find out how the aggrieved nurses are coping on a rainy Tuesday evening here in Accra. Adelaide Arthur is there with them, but it appears we do have an official of the Ministry of Health responding to the concerns of the health workers. If we can get that right away.
I'll be speaking to some of the aggrieved nurses now. The PRO has indicated that, they are working on their issue and that they are processing them. But then looks like they are here. Some of them have refused to go back. And it's obvious that they are going to sleep rough. This is going to be their second night here, and it's raining already. So you've heard the PRO. He's saying that your issue is being sorted and that you should go, you'll be recruited. Why are you still here?
Oh, we are here until we are cleared, and that's the main purpose that we are coming here.
But he's saying that it's going to take some time, a couple of months, because now you've seen, he said they've shown you some list which has your names on it and all that, and that it's a process.
Oh, that they've been saying this for a long time, and we've been waiting. The minister himself promised us 2 weeks, which would even be ending 11 April. So as we came on the 11th April, he said that he doesn't have our list. So that means he deceived us indirectly.
No, but the PRO is saying that today he has shown a list to you. Have you seen the list?
We've seen the list, but it is not ours. We are 937. We are not 4,000.
Where are you from?
I'm from Ho. That's where I'm from. Some people are from Boku. Some people are from Tamale.
So which nursing training college did you attend?
Nurses training, Ho nurses, we do general nursing, and I'm a general nurse. Some of us are midwives. Some of us are psychiatric nurses. And that we are of different category of nurses, and we have come together. And that's why we are here. Until we are cleared, we are not going.
So you were saying that the list that the PRO stated that he has shown to you, and even some of you were happy to see your names on it, you are that your name was not included.
And we didn't see our names for us to be happy. So what he says that we saw our names and we are happy, I don't think it is true.
Okay, but my major concern now is that it seems you're going to sleep rough tonight, okay? It is raining, and this is your second night. Where did you sleep last night?
We slept here on the floor.
On the floor.
That's where we slept. We lay our cloth and we slept on it.
And how are you going to manage to sleep tonight, because the whole place is, wet?
Yes, I think that's how we can do, because we can't go home. That's the only thing we can do now. We will only manage and sleep. If we are infected by any mosquito, we will still manage.
But what of what the PRO is saying? That I know you are aggrieved. I know you have a case, okay? And I know that the Vice President also mentioned that a number of you are being recruited into the system, basically being absorbed into the system. Shouldn't you understand that?
Right, we do have some challenges with our link there to Adelaide, but Adelaide is on the phone, and we're going to be finding out from it. Hello, Adelaide.
So, and what is your name and which nursing training college did you attend?
Abdel Latif, a school at Ankafo, Kepus.
Okay. And so you've also not been enrolled, that's why you are here?
Yeah.
So where did you sleep last night?
Oh, you all slept here.
You all slept here.
Yeah.
So how are you going to manage tonight?
Or some of us have to lean ourselves with the all of the ministry.
But I'm sure you heard the PRO.
All of us is not only the person.
Really?
Yeah. Exactly. And what the PRO said is just coining something else. In the morning and yesterday, what they told us is different from what he just said to you.
But he said he has a list which you've seen.
The list have been here since last year.
Did you find your name in it?
Yeah, I saw my name last year. But today when I went there, he was just offering his PC. So I have to come out. I didn't see my name. And nobody went in and came out and said, oh, I'm happy, I've seen my name. Nobody. You can ask all of them.
Really? Because he said some of you were actually happy, jubilating.
We have been for 9 months. We are not happy, madam. We are not happy.
Which school?
From Tamalina Sister College.
Oh, okay.
That's my region.
Okay. And you did not see your name in the list?
At all. At all.
And if we are happy, by now, all of us should have been at home. So we are not happy. We haven't seen our name in his list. So we are not happy with it. We are sleeping here tonight. So our clearance is what? Issued to us before we are going home.
Possibly if the clearance is not issued, by tomorrow, we are marching straight to the Flagstaff House so that we're going to submit our petition to the president to see whether he will listen to our plight.
Okay. Let me speak to this lady. I'm very much concerned about this lady. What is your name? Which nursing training college?
I'm Rebecca from Takwami.
So you slept here?
Yeah, we slept here.
In the midst of all these guys?
Oh, yeah.
How did you manage?
We slept. I leaned on the wall.
You leaned on the wall. And tonight is going to be rough because of the rain. What do you plan to do?
I'm staying because I'm not the only lady staying here.
Oh, really?
Because there are lots of ladies under the canopy over there, and they are all staying.
Okay. Please, please don't be tense. I need you to stand here so my cameras can capture you. So, I know for ladies, there are certain essential things that we need for our comfort and for our hygiene. So are you saying that you've been in this clothes since yesterday?
I have my mufti inside.
Oh, okay.
As I can show you, I have my dress. I put on my uniform. So I'll go and exchange. I have my towel, my sponge, everything.
Oh, really?
There. Yeah.
You came prepared?
Very prepared.
But where are you going to take your shower?
Oh, that one is not a problem.
Really?
It's never a problem.
You are really determined?
Yes, because as a midwife, we are always prepared. You can go for a night without even coming home, because when you meet a case, you cannot go home. You have to stay by your patient and make sure that your patient is in a good state before you can go home. So when such thing happens, will you say that you are going to leave the patient there and go and take your bath? No, we can't do it because we are training it. So we are willing and that we are.
So it's not a problem for you at all?
Problem at all.
Okay, fine. But the PRO stated that he showed you a list. Some of you found your names in the list. Did you find your name in the list?
I didn't see my name in the list. As he said, I didn't see my name.
Oh, really?
I didn't see my name.
But you have a uniform. Does that mean that, you've already been absorbed into the system?
Yeah.
Or this is just your school uniform?
This is my school uniform.
Oh, okay.
And when you complete, you have this uniform. That is the full band. Now I've completed. That's the full band I'm wearing. I have now, and I have my pin. That's certified that I can go to the field and do the work. But now, before I can go to the field to do the work, unless the government clears me that now you have this and I have my appointment letter, then to a specific hospital to go and do the work. And that's what we don't have it now.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. So we have these aggrieved nurses here. They are determined to stay here until their issues are resolved. But speaking to the PRO earlier, he indicated that they showed them a list. Some of them have their names inside. They are pleading with them to go back because their issues have been resolved. He actually told me that it's going to be a process which they've already started. And so they've been here, wouldn't fast track any process. And that since they have started working on it, they are only pleading with them to go back to their various homes, to their various, wherever they are coming from, and that they are working on it. But it seems that I'm not ready. They are not yielding to the pleas of the ministry. They are saying they are going to be here until their issues are resolved. My name is Adelaide Arthur from the Health Ministry in Accra.
Thank you very much, Adelaide Arthur, bringing us up to speed with that development there. The trainee nurses indicating that they intend to spend the night past the night, however rough it is, until the issues are resolved. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We'll have more stories coming up. Don't go away. Now, the majority in Parliament is asking the minority to admit it goofed by suggesting wrongdoing on the part of the finance minister in the recent multi-billion-dollar bond issued by government. It followed explanations provided by the second deputy governor of the Bank of Ghana, Johnson Esiaman, when he appeared before the Public Accounts Committee about how the central bank goes about such bond issues. The minority has demanded a parliamentary probe into the over $2 billion bond issue because it says a key official of Franklin Templeton, the company that bought most of the facility, is known to the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. But the head of financial management services at the head of financial markets at the Bank of Ghana, Stephen Opata, told PAC the bidding process for the sale of bonds could not have been skewed in favor of any of the investors.
With respect to Eurobond issuance, what happens is that after the roadshow, you have lead managers who will then receive, on the day that is determined that the issuance be done, receive bids. Okay, so these bids will be received on some electronic platform, and depending on decisions that are made as to pricing, then eligible investors are determined. So in such a system, you do not, you cannot predetermine who the investor will be, but it's a process. So there's a price discovery process where it may take 2 or 3 days to determine, and then you have a date to do the issuance. And on that date, those who will meet the price that you decide to take, then you issue. So eligible investors will then have to participate in that process, and then.
Without interjecting, does
use your mic, please.
Sorry. Does this principle, as you've just rightly put it out, apply with respect to domestic bonds as well?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman and Honorable Markin, for the, I guess, are you referring to the most recently issued bond?
Use that as a
Yes. That is a book runner system. So it's kind of a similar principle. The book runners are the lead managers, and over the price discovery period, you will be talking to potential investors to determine interest and some range of indication of pricing. And on the day of issuance, you agree on pricing, and if the investor meets your pricing criteria, you issue, depending on the size that you want to issue. So it's kind of similar. So I don't think typically you will not limit it to a particular investor. But of course, there is interest. Investors will be revealing interest during the price discovery period.
The second deputy governor also clarified the bid process, explaining it is usually done in a transparent manner. For MP for Futu Alexander Fonyo marking the disclosures by the central bank officials vindicates the finance minister and government as a whole. We do apologize for the loss of that audio there. But the MP for Keta, Richard Kwashega, he disagrees with what the MP for Futu has been saying. He says the disclosures rather support their call for a parliamentary probe into the matter.
I obviously will not agree with the position that we're wrong. Now, if we talk about transparency, nobody said that a finance minister directly selected an individual and handed it over to him. Issue of transparency goes beyond that. And of course, the governor was just giving a general overview of how these processes are done. Now, I think what should interest us more is the fact that the deputy governors admitted that indeed this transaction obviously could not be a domestic activity but an international one, when he indicated that they received from the investor $2.25 billion, which was paid into the account of the government. And so there generalization and the description of this bond as a domestic bond, I mean, obviously leaves much to be desired. And if you're talking about...
I listened to the conversation, and I thought what I heard when he was asked a question about locally issued bond, the official from the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Minopata, who is happens to be the head of Financial Management Services, said he brought that issue of local bond issue and made it specific to the $2.25 billion. In other words, he believed that was a locally issued bond.
No, I want you to listen to the tape again. I mean, this was said for everybody to hear. And the deputy governor was very, very clear on that matter, that what they received was not fees, was dollars. And they paid the dollars, the $2.25 billion, into the account of government. And I even went on to ask whether they can tell for the fact that they have in their votes currently exactly $2.525 billion. And he said no, they don't have exactly that amount as money that have come out from that transaction. You know, and so it's very clear that that particular transaction was not a domestic transaction, but...
Right, so let's get to hear what the MP for Futu, Alexander Fenyo-Makin, had to say about the disclosures by the central bank officials.
But the reality is that whether in opposition or in government, we have a responsibility to put out the facts. We may want to score points, but where we mislead the general public, I think it wouldn't be fair enough for whatever purpose. We've had an opposition raising issues regarding conflict of interest, questioning the transparency in this whole arrangement, and it was led by the former deputy finance minister, who is also the ranking member of the minority. Today, at least, the imaginary conflict of interest and the controversy surrounding the auction was put to rest. At least the Bank of Ghana officials, who are the professionals, have put it out there clearly that the whole system was transparent. Investors had pre-knowledge of this because they knew of the calendar of government borrowing since 2016. And every opportunity was given to all investors, potential investors, in this very transaction. You remember that the NDC minority had even said that the time it was open for just a day. So it couldn't have been possible for somebody in Australia or in Canada or elsewhere to have an opportunity to participate. But today we're told that, look, every potential investor, by the nature of this transaction, could have access to it, and it couldn't have been that on the basis of jurisdiction, you wouldn't get it because you'll be sleeping. International market, there's nothing like sleeping. It's 24/7. And at least it's put the matter to rest.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still to come, Doma Hene beat retreats on pronouncements made during campaigning for 2016 election.
But from 1979 to date, no one can say he has worked more than
79 to date.
Not say something against him. In the same way, your younger brother who has left also came. I can't say something against him.
Hello, good evening, and thanks for being with me on Business. The Bank of Ghana will soon take a decision on commercial banks going through some financial challenges and have resorted to liquidity support from the central bank. Joy Business understands that some commercial banks are said to be in serious financial distress as a result of high incidence of non-performing loans. Governor of the central bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, disclosed this in an interview in Washington, D.C., where he is taking part in the annual spring meetings of the World Bank and IMF. George Rafi sent in this report.
According to the new central bank governor, Dr. Ernest Addison, the decision on these banks could be reached in the next few weeks.
Due to some of the
findings of that asset quality review, the banks were asked to make additional provision for some of their loans. And on the basis of that, some banks need to recapitalize. I think that the Bank of Ghana has written to them to submit recapitalization plans, and we are waiting to look at those recapitalization plans. It has to be credible, and we are hoping that in the next few weeks, on the basis of the reports that they submit, some decisions will have to be taken.
The governor also promised to enforce the zero financing of government.
If you take last year, the Bank of Ghana did not finance the budget at all, and this is something that we all recommend for countries that are, especially in our context, we are looking at fiscal consolidation. We are not expecting the budget to be dominant, in this particular regime. So we do not expect that we would, have a situation where the government will come for financing from the central bank. If we've been able to avoid that in an election year, I don't see why, in a non-election years, the central bank, cannot abstain from providing financing.
The governor of Ghana City, the governor noted that measures being implemented right now will stabilize the local currency.
There, in terms of the alignment of the policy rates with the interbank market, we have seen that the alignments there have more or less also taken place. So we expect to see better transmission of the monetary policy rate, to the rest of the banking system. The government, if you look at the discussions of the fund, the government is committed to the medium-term framework that we have in place. That medium-term framework includes a vision of having a single-digit inflation at 8 plus or minus 2% over the medium term. So we are looking at that for 2018, 2019. For 2017, the target is at 11.2.
And at his first media engagement with some journalists in Washington, D.C., with the promise of keeping inflation under control to help achieve the end-of-year target of 11.2%.
Now, the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has indicated that government is committed to instituting the necessary reforms and structures to make Ghana the most business-friendly destination in Africa. Ghana made some marginal progress in improving the environment for doing business, according to the latest World Bank Ease of Doing Business reports. The Vice President said fast-tracking the required reforms are necessary to improve the environment for Ghanaian businesses and foreign investors. He said this would help make Ghana the best place for doing business.
Ghana is also coming to the table to make our country, Ghana, the most business-friendly country in Africa. And that is the task we've set for ourselves. So we have to learn from what is going on in other countries. And this particular meeting brought together some very good country experiences that Ghana can learn from. How do we bring everything with the use of technology to set up a one-stop shop, so to speak, for the registration of businesses, licensing permits, and so on. The experiences of countries like, Rwanda and Kenya with their e-citizen platform. These are platforms that are working, open platforms, and I very much like the assistance that the IFC and the World Bank have given to these countries in terms of this type of software that has been put together. We can adopt a lot of these things in Ghana. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. What we are trying to do has been done in other countries, and we have to just look for best practice and do it. And so I am very encouraged, and what we are trying to do tells us that the discussion here tells us that we are on the right.
Meanwhile, the International Finance Corporation, IFC, has expressed satisfaction with programs government is planning to implement to improve the business environment. This follows Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia's promise to implement the necessary reforms to make Ghana the preferred business destination in Africa. Ghana is currently ranked 9th in the African region, coming after countries like Lesotho and Zambia, with Mauritius being the best place for doing business in Africa. However, despite the concerns about government's commitment to addressing the challenges undermining the growth of businesses in Ghana, the IFC Vice President Ethiopies Tafara, during an interview with Joy Business in Washington, D.C., said the reforms taking place so far in Ghana are encouraging.
That they see having achieved the kinds of reforms and the kind of progress in terms of private sector developments and looking to use those examples and apply them in the Ghanaian context. And we, as the IFC, have been involved in working with these other governments and instituting reforms that have led to a more friendly business environment. So I think the success of these other countries suggests that it is a smart strategy to actually try and apply those in the Ghanaian context as well. As you know, there was an interesting presentation here that, moving up the rankings also depends on what others are doing. I don't think the focus should be so much on moving up the rankings, but improving the business environment. And, when you work on improving the business environment, you inevitably, organically will move up the rankings. But, the objective is not simply to move up the rankings. It's actually to change the environment in which business operates, to make it friendlier and make it more conducive for business.
And back home in Ghana, the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAU, is asking government not to only provide ordinary jobs for farmers under the Planting for Food and Jobs policy, but to ensure quality, sustainable employment opportunities are given farmers as the program gets underway. Speaking to Joy Business, General Secretary of GAU, Edward Karawe, said government should do more to realize the desired benefits from its flagship agri policy.
Must we compete among ourselves? No, we must enhance our competition so that we can together compete against the rest of the world.
All right. Recently, government launched the Planting for Food program with the aim of creating 750 jobs, in excess of that. Speaking from an expert point of view, do you think this amount could be achieved?
Well, what I am hearing is that 750,000 jobs. Then when we probe further, they say, look, those jobs will be both direct and indirect. And once you bring in indirect is so amorphous that you can extend the indirect jobs to cover many people, This is only a projection, and we only hope that by the end of the year, those number of jobs will be provided. Again, as a union, we just don't stop at providing jobs. We are looking at the quality of the jobs, sustainability of the jobs, jobs that can allow the worker to be able to afford the basic necessities of life. That is, have food for 3 times in a day, could afford shelter, clothing, and then also be treated in a dignified manner. So we will be pushing for all this stuff. But when they say 750,000 jobs, no one is talking about the quality of the jobs.
And businesses across the country are pressing for government to allow more private equity firms tap into the resources of the Export-Import or Exim Bank. This, they argue, would make the bank more efficient in its operations as the only government agency resourced to provide direct financial support to the private sector.
The Exim Bank was established last year to provide cost financing to export companies to not only boost their operations but also the country's export earnings. The chief executive of the Private Enterprise Federation, Nana Osei-Bonsu, however, explains to Joy Business the current operations rather leave much to be desired.
Does it, as a private sector, doing business domestically without any import or export orientation involved? That is an angle that we got to look at. Is it going to be done with private equity angle that was supposed to be, window supposed to be created? Now that private equity angle was supposed to expose or allow window of opportunity for private equity firms to also go take their resources and invest. But no, it's done, what I understand, is done that they're using one private equity firm to do the investment. We wanted that kind of openness, but it hasn't happened. So what I think is, let's open it up, review the entire legislation, institutional structure, and see how we can enhance what they do and increase the resources that they gain, because it's the only agency that can assist the private sector.
He adds a lot more supervision from institutions other than the Finance Ministry is also critical going forward.
There's a disagreement on the fact that these institutions are not supervised. Now, if it's Ministry of Finance, what kind of supervision do they have? There's a minister, the Act I think says the minister can issue a directive and the board has to comply. Then the independence of the board is compromised. Then the minister is going to run it. No, you don't have that. The minister can maybe review activities and challenge and all that, but the minister should know that fiat, a policy statement, directive, and they have to, comply. So those are the things that we have to look at in the act to make sure that that it's going to serve a useful purpose to empower the private sector with the resource and the technical support that we need to enable the Ghanaian private sector to do business.
The Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has already emphasized the need for government to run the Exim Bank like a private entity rather than another public entity if it is to achieve its goal.
And that's all we have for you by way of business tonight. Many thanks for your company. For more business news updates, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Don't go away, there's more to come.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. President Akufo-Addo says the future of the country will be bleak if it continues to export raw agricultural produce. He said his government is aware of the challenge and is working to add value to agricultural produce and stop importation of some food products from neighboring Côte d'Ivoire and Burkina Faso. At a meeting with the former president of Tanzania, Benjamin Mkapa, at the Flagstaff House Tuesday, the president said government is in the process of modernizing agriculture with the deployment of extension officers and supply of quality seedlings.
We've committed ourselves to establishing small and medium-scale enterprises in each of the districts of our country over the next 4 years. We also have a very ambitious agricultural program. In fact, about a week ago, I went to Brongahafo, which is on the way up to where you're going, to launch the program which we call Planting for Food and Jobs. A program that is going to affect some 200,000 farmers in the first year. And we intend it to affect about 2.5 million farmers by the end of the 4 years, to whom we're giving specific attention in terms of the supply of improved seedlings, the supply of fertilizer at a much more affordable rate, at long last bringing back extension officers in our system. For about 5 or 6 years, all the young men and women who were trained in our colleges of agriculture could not find employment in the public sector. They were sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, and our agriculture going into decline. So we've taken the decision to engage with them. We've employed some 1,200 of them now. Intend to employ another 2,000 next year to take up the slack and provide our farmers with that more informed, modern approach to the work that they're doing than they have hitherto. So it's a very important commitment that we have made. We want to live in a country which has got everything, like you're saying. Ghana is the same, water, green lands, and yet we find ourselves importing even plantain from our neighbors in Côte d'Ivoire and tomatoes from Burkina Faso. But we're saying to ourselves that certainly within the next 2 years, all that will be a thing of the past.
The former Tanzanian President Benjamin Mkapa is in Ghana to deliver a lecture at the University for Development Studies in Tamale. In a related development, President Akufo-Addo has tasked the newly constituted Ghana AIDS Commission to work towards reducing the prevalence rate among female sex workers and homosexuals.
Based on advances in the frontiers of science and an immense efforts at addressing the epidemic, it is now common knowledge that being HIV positive is not a death sentence. Being infected with the virus does not mean progressing to AIDS. This is due to availability and easy accessibility of antiretroviral drugs. Now people living with HIV can live healthy, long, and productive lives. Through our collective efforts, we have achieved a steady but gradual decline in our HIV prevalence from 3.6% in 2003 to 1.6% in 2015. However, it is important to indicate that whereas the general population enjoys a low prevalence, there are subpopulations that have recorded very high prevalence levels. For instance, among female sex workers, the prevalence is 7%. And for men who have sex with men, the prevalence is 17.5%. These undoubtedly point to the need for us as a people to extend HIV prevention interventions to all segments of our population to ensure that no one is left behind.
Residents of Kintampo in the Branhafo region say the closure of the waterfalls is negatively affecting their business. The tourist site was closed by the tourism ministry after 19 people died and several others were injured when the large tree fell on them from a height during a heavy downpour. The waterfall is one of the main natural tourist attractions in the area and hence attracts revelers from around the country and beyond on a daily basis. Some of the residents have been narrating their ordeal to Joy News.
On the 19th of March 2017, 19 people were reportedly killed and several others injured after a large tree fell on them at the Kintampo waterfalls following a heavy downpour. Since the incident, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture closed the facility indefinitely to undertake a thorough security and safety assessment of the tourist site. But barely 5 weeks after the closure, some residents of the municipality, mainly drivers and traders, claim the closure of the facility is negatively affecting their businesses. The Kintampo Waterfalls is one of the main natural attractions in the area and hence attracts revelers from around the country and beyond on a daily basis. Some of the residents have been narrating their ordeal to Joy News.
Because waterfalls I would say it's affecting us a lot because initially I make a lot of sales occasionally and even on daily basis. I used to make about 150 cedis when the waterfalls was active, but now it's difficult to even have 80 or 90 cedis on a good day.
Easy cry. Me fa say eja nka ewo station eja force for say
it's not easy at all at this station. During Easter occasions, visitors purchase my bread a lot when they visit the falls, but now the situation has changed. We are appealing to the government to do something about it as soon as possible because we are losing a lot.
So cry nti aban onye bibi mfa ho emaye onye bibi mfa ho maye pa animanimu ya nye saade a enye kra market ni de akopom medin di saade a metona amangwe wo total filling station.
I am Sadia. I saw mangoes at the Total Filling Station. When waterfalls was active, tourists stopped over to buy our goods, especially during Easter holidays. But this time round, we are suffering. So we are calling on the government to do something about it for us.
Because waterfalls in the funny park 2 city, it's a funny 4.
even though a man and saying about will be to me do a crowd refuse water for some so there be because a boy, even though Easter Day no can keep it deeper Easter Day and you'll be unfun, a boca baby Easter Day. The water for the buy more modern, no one shamukin and no man rantem. A taxi driver is a working to buy a hotel by the Yeska or your more modern in my to could be in Yeska.
Some students and farmers in Bunkprugu in the northern region are anticipating a positive impact in education and agriculture following the return of lasting peace to the area. Misunderstanding between two feuding chieftaincy families over the years has led to the loss of lives and property. But with the return of lasting peace to the community, they expect to reap the benefits of their labor.
Last year, the feuding factions in the decade-old conflict resolved to end hostilities towards each other at a ceremony known as blood burial, which saw indigents sacrificing cows and sheep to cleanse the land and usher in peace. To mark the first anniversary of a ceremony that brought them peace, the chiefs and people of the area gathered at a community school park to celebrate with stakeholders. Some students and farmers revealed to Joy News that they anticipate a positive outcome with the return of peace to the area.
Once the peace has come, it can enable us to study and understand. Because when there were no peace, our master's was not able to come and help us. But because the peace has come, they are able to come and help us to study.
Member of Parliament for Bunkprugu and Deputy Northern Regional Minister recounts the conflict has deprived the district of development.
Peace is key to development. Every government, every political party, every society, every traditional leader needs peace to be able to implement policies and programs for which they are constituted or they have been formed.
Northern Regional Minister Salifu Said, who led a team from the Regional Security Council to join in the celebration, assured of government's commitment to facilitate development in the area. Chief of Nyankpanduri, David Kansuk, on behalf of the chiefs and people of Bimoba land, pledged their commitment never to resort to the use of violence to resolve conflicts.
We are prepared to assist them to have a peaceful region so that the government can develop this region. We know we are several decades behind development in the northern region. And we can only develop this region if we live in peace. I am calling on all traditional leaders in northern region to ensure that there is peace in their backyard.
The regional minister later presented 20 pockets of roofing sheets and an amount of 5,000 Ghana cedis to help victims of the conflict to re-roof their houses.
The paramount chief of the Doma traditional area in the Brunhafu region says he did not endorse then President John Dramani Mahama, despite singing his praises in the heat of the 2016 elections. Osiadeyo Ajiman Bedu II said he only praised the former president for his stellar work in the area of infrastructure. In a meeting with President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo last week, he said it is difficult to look at a prominent person in the face and criticize him.
The Doma paramount chief was heavily criticized when he said then-President Mahama had achieved more than any president except Kwame Nkrumah. In a video that went viral, Osiadeyo Ajiman Bedu II said he was prepared to abdicate his stool if he lost a debate over the president's achievement. He didn't mind if he had to become a serial caller to parrot the then-president's achievements, he vowed.
Mbatna akonya iso sabi ba wo mto asasi so a 1979 Kwame Nyante Madam Adi PMP PLP babantuo ni nyina no yewura no.
The work you are doing here, I didn't see Kwame Nkrumah, but from 1979 to date, no one can say he has worked more than
79 to date. Obia ni Ghana has said abatna ba na kasi.
Anyone who disagrees, I will turn into a serial caller, and if that person defeats me in such a debate, I will abdicate. If I say I am happy, then I'm telling lies. I am very sad. I've never seen such development on this land. Ghanaians like the way you do your things. Your things are big and very nice.
But 4 months after Mr. Mahama lost his bid to get re-elected, the Doma Paramount chief is now claiming that the media distorted his comments. He says he did not reference the performance of the former president in the areas of corruption, galamsey, and economic well-being of Ghanaians.
Politics is one thing once you engage in. You can have a chief supporting a faction with a linguist supporting another. Sometimes it leads to division. Even myself, I was accused of belonging to a particular faction, that of your younger brother who has left office. It's all good. You cannot look at a prominent person in the face and say something against him. When a Piadonkwa comes, you cannot say something against her. If it is Dr. Kwesi, you cannot say something against him. If Reverend Akufo-Addo comes, you cannot say something against him. In the same way, your younger brother who has left also came. You can't say something against him.
As a baby, baby, maybe they call to internet issue.
If each person is speaking about his achievement, you have to say something good about a person. They took a small part of it and put it on the internet. They really insulted me. When your younger brother came, I spoke about his strength. I did not talk about money, corruption, and galamsey. I only spoke about infrastructure.
Manka corruption, manka galamsey, nianka infrastructure.
Now, every woman wants to look good and feel great about herself, from her makeup to what she wears. But many feel limited because of the excess belly fat that just won't go. Fortunately, they always have a way out, and that is the wearing of a waist trainer to bring out the curves and contours they want. In the following report, my colleague Patricia Gatsu takes a tour of the streets of Accra to find out the great lengths some women are going to look trendy.
Excess belly fat is a common problem for many women. The late night eating and the lack of exercise gives the belly free space to expand. The quest to make it in life and the lack of time to exercise are to blame. In their quest to look good and glow with confidence, many women resort to wearing waist trainers, a new and easy way to get the curves they need to feel good. These waist trainers are available on the market with a high demand for them. This vendor tells me most women come over to patronize it.
The reason why that they like the corset, because of a nice shape, isn't it? So when you put it on, you'll get a nice shape for yourself. And it's even good, very tight for you.
It's not comfortable.
Why? It's very, very, when you use it like, and you used to, you'll be okay. But if you are not used to it, you thought that you will not feel any comfortable. But when you are continue using it twice, several times, you will be comfortable with that. It's even nice when you put it on and you wear something, any long dress, you look good, and your shape will come out. Nice.
The women, however, tell me they feel good when they wear corset, but not everyone does.
It's nice when you wear it. It brings out the curves in you. You get a confidence to walk around wherever you go. You boost up. You're okay in whatever you do.
It's not easy to put it on. You feel pains all around your ribs and you feel like taking it off, but because you want to achieve something, you refuse to remove it, and then you keep on putting it on each and every day to maintain your shape. Yeah.
The men, on the other hand, tell me a different story. Many would prefer the women watch their diet and exercise instead of wearing corset.
It feels funny. I mean, sometimes it reminds me of a bulletproof for the military people.
I wonder why a woman, and my perception or what I feel a woman should feel like, should be soft, should be tender. And so once I have a touch of that, I don't know, but I often get a shock, even my colleagues at office, when I expect that, AC should feel like this, and, oh, hello, how are you? I give her a handshake, and I hug, and she's in this metallic substance.
It's a waist trainer.
Well, it feels strange. I wish they take a second look at it because it's needless. If your tummy is bloated, it is bloated, and you must work at it. If you need a waist trainer in the morning while you are exercising, then maybe it's acceptable. For you to walk around with it, you sweat on it, it's a no-no.
It brings out the curves.
Well, the curves and all the things that they feel that we should admire is always not the issue, because your character also plays a role. And so you want a waist trainer and you look all curvy and nice, but you're arrogant, it still takes a million things away from you.
Yeah, I have somebody with corset. I hug her. I say, what are you wearing? Is it normal? Say, oh, nothing. I say, it's something, because I don't like it. You have to remove it. It's too hard. I need something soft. If I saw you with Tommy, I'll advise you that if you can't, I'm a bodybuilder, I can train you too. If I really love you, I'll train you very well.
How can you live yourself like that? I don't like it. You have to be always like the way, can't you see the way my stomach is? You have to be like that. So if your stomach is big, I don't think it's good. I don't like it. No, I don't like it at all.
They will work for a minute and they will stand and rearrange the whole thing again. Putting on corsets, they'll just do some, because I can see some tiredness in them. So at least I could see them having this thing in their, So it's something else. I would prefer them knowing how to eat, the time to eat, and keep themselves on shape and on track.
Patricia Gasu, Joy News, Accra.